Welcome to this For Whoever reading. If you resonated with the title of this video, then this message may have all that much more meaning for you to receive. Let's see what messages come through. Messages for whoever needs to receive this, please. I have the river. Okay, when this energy comes out here, it's indicative of the fact that you might be experiencing a little bit of an emotional release at this time. So things may have been a little bit challenging and tumultuous in the past, and you are now beginning to start to purge all of those old emotions from the situations of the past. Okay, so you might be in a state where you're feeling a little bit of a variety of emotions. One day you may be feeling very happy, have a positive outlook on life. And then the next day you might be kind of riding a roller coaster of emotions and feeling a bit sad, wanting to cry. This can take many forms, but either way, you're in a place where you need to allow those emotions to come to the surface so that they can then be purged and released to clear the energies of your experiences of the past. I have the spectrum. I root out and reject prejudice in myself and others. Okay. So this is an energy here where it's just saying, allow yourself to kind of let go of any grievances of the past so that you can move forward from them. This doesn't necessarily mean that you need to forget any of these situations that have taken place and just let them go and not think anything more of them. But what this means is just having a kindness and compassion for these situations and how they helped you to learn and grow and what you've become because of them. Okay. So this is just kind of having a little bit of grace for the past so that it's no longer blocking and holding you back. Let's keep going and go further into this reading, see what other messages come out for you. Become aware. Listen to the wisdom of the body. Okay, so a lot of times when we have some energies that are trying to be released, we will feel a little bit of an uncomfortability in the body. Okay, so this can, be headaches. This can be anxiety. This can be backaches and pains that you're just kind of like, why am I hurting right now? But the reality is that, your body is giving you clues. This may even be manifesting outwardly as like panic attacks and anxiety. So once you're starting to get to a point of feeling things physically coming out, this is indicative that there is a deep level of emotional, release that needs to take place. When we have a lot of stressful situations or traumatic situations that take place in our life, we can inadvertently store them within the body. Okay. So what's happening here is when you're in this energy of the river, needing to kind of, acknowledge and accept the aches and the pains in the body as being something that is, giving you a red flag that something needs to be attended to here. Something needs to be addressed because things, something's amiss. Okay. So what this is telling me is that you have some stuff built up and stored within the body that needs to be released. This is emotional blockage, emotional buildup that needs to be released in order for you to remove that blockage so that your energy can clear and you can continue on your healing journey from the past. Let's continue forward and see what other messages want to come through. I have discomfort and resentment. Okay. So you might be harboring a little bit of, some grievance for the past. This may be, situations again that weren't exactly played out in your favor, or maybe they were not going exactly the way that you had wanted them to ideally go. Maybe they were extremely unfair situations and you should have had things go better for you. And so now what might be happening here inadvertently is because you're holding on to that resentment for those situations, people, whatever may have happened here, you're storing it in the body and you're creating a significant block. And because that storage is full in your body, you're now experiencing it in a physical form that is telling you, hey, something is really wrong and you need to release this. You need to process this guilt. You need to process this resentment for the past or these people, and you need to be able to move on. It doesn't mean that you necessarily need to find forgiveness and give it to that other person. It's coming to, an acknowledgement of the situation happened. It wasn't ideal. It didn't go exactly how it should have gone. It felt really unfair to me. And I, never want to deal with that again. And maybe you even hate the person. Okay. But what's happening here is you're inadvertently blocking yourself from actual healing. And there's a buildup, kind of like a backed up sink, and things are just starting to kind of back up and build up, and it's just kind of turning yucky at this point. Okay, so you have a little bit of a stuck stagnant energy within you that needs to come out. It's creating physical energy in you that is evoking probably likely a lot of uncomfortability in you at this time. Okay, so you don't necessarily have to find forgiveness and release the past for the person's well-being. You need to do it for yourself. So it's not necessarily saying that you forget a situation and what's happened. It's that you just forgive it and release it for your own healing and well-being so you can move on in a positive direction. I have auric field. It is time to call in energy protection to shield, clear, and strengthen your aura. Again, this is an energy that is saying that, you're allowing a situation to really, really, really affect your energy. You may be finding that you are low on energy, you're sluggish, you may be having a negative outlook on life in general. You may just, not want to get out of bed some days. You may feel a lot of stress and struggle from the day to day. You may be struggling to sleep at night, or you may even be having anxiety and panic attacks, or even a deep depression at this time. Okay, either way, these are red flags of your body calling out desperately to say that you need to heal and move on and release this old stuff so you can clear the way for the future. Okay, the only way to move beyond something and open ourselves up to better experiences is to clear the past. Okay, so this is what's being asked of you at this time. It's not only being asked of you, but I get a sense of urgency here that this needs to be addressed immediately. Steps need to be taken. It doesn't mean that you're going to release it all, have one good cry, and you're like, there we go, I'm good. It's going to feel relieving, but it doesn't mean that's the end. So just kind of roll with emotions here of, the ups and downs of the emotions that you're going to feel, and just allow yourself to feel them. It doesn't mean that you have to buy into them and start, hashing up the past and, going over everything that happened and what was wrong and right and who could have done what and who did that. But, what it means here is that you just need to kind of enter a state of flow and allow those emotions to surface and come out, surface and come out. And this can be released in a variety of ways. Sometimes, doing dance, going for a walk. This is also, just getting out in nature. This is just allowing the energy to flow out of you in some sort of way. You may even, find boxing helpful. You may want to get that energy out because you have a lot of, you're really upset with the situation. So it's okay to take the energy out in a really healthy way. Maybe you join the gym and just start to weightlift, or you run as fast as you can on the treadmill for a while and just get that energy out. Either way, you're going to know what you would, find most comfortable to do in order to allow these things to bubble to the surface to then be released in a healthy and positive way so you can move forward. Let's take a look at the overall energy here. Overall energy, please. The overall energy here is the Ace of Wands. Okay, so this can be a couple of things coming out in the overall energy. This to me can be a very fiery energy. Now, energy can be channeled in a very positive way, or it can be channeled in a, negative way. This can be a fiery energy that is evoking a little bit of anger in you. Okay, so this can also be an energy of just a desire for something to change, a desire for things to get better, and a desire for something new to start to come into place for you. Okay, let's take a look further into this, and I'll be able to better clarify what this overall energy is here for. Let's take a look at the recent past. Okay, I have death and the fool coming out all at once. Okay, so, it's no wonder that you are feeling a type of way at this time. You obviously have good reason to be. Okay, there looks like there was a very sudden ending with death and, the fool coming out all at once. There's something very significant that came into play, and it likely happened very sudden, very fast, and out of the blue. And it forced you into a position of doing something completely new. Okay, so this can be, this can be something that played out in a variety of ways. Okay, so you need to place it as you will in regards to your situation and how it fits. Okay, so only take what resonates and leave the rest here. But it's telling me here that you were almost kind of inadvertently forced into something new. This can be a sudden ending to a marriage or relationship. This can even be a literal death of someone that then forced you into a position where you need to go off into a whole new direction, and you have not yet to grieve the loss of that particular person yet. Okay, so you may have, moved on with your days and moved on with your life, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you've gone through the motions of actually processing the ending of this situation or of this life. Okay, Let's take a look at the present energy here. I have the Four of Swords coming out here in the present energy. Okay, so this is telling me in the present energy, there is a really significant need for you to take time to take a break, remove yourself from, external things the best way that you can while still taking care of your responsibilities, but making sure that you're taking time for yourself and nurturing and meeting your own emotional needs. You need to rest. You need to go to a place that is quiet, calm, so that you can then process these things and allow them to come up in a safe way so that you can then process them and release them for good and move forward. Okay. So there's a healing that needs to take place here in the present energy. Let me take a look at the near future for you. I have the Page of Cups. So in the near future here, there is a little bit of a more acceptance here. The Page of Cups is a very, new vulnerable energy here. It's a new innocent energy, okay? It's very childlike. So what this tells me with the Page of Cups coming out is that, here in the near future, there's going to be a little let up of that valve of emotion, okay? It's a small little let up, but that's good because it relieves the pressure nonetheless. You're going to kind of open up that valve to those emotions and you're going to allow it to slowly kind of pour out. And you're going to be able to process it in a way that you're going to be forgiving of, significant relationships and situations in your life that need to be released, okay? And you're going to be able to find that forgiveness, not for them, but for you again, okay? Let's take a look at some advice for you, please. Advice. The advice that you have here is the Lovers and the World. Okay, so this is a very significant relationship that clearly came to an end. This is something where, this was likely a marriage or this was just someone very, very significant to you. Now, this tells me that this sudden change, with it being so sudden, you either needed to leave and exit out the situation suddenly and unexpectedly, or at least just kind of needing to get out of there and make that change. And now you're in a whole new world, or this was something that was, ended by another person in your life. Okay. So this here was a crossroads that someone was at where they truly needed to decide, do I stay in this relationship and continue to, invest in it? Or do I need to do, what's best for me at this time? Either way, there is a closing of this situation out completely. And it's time for you here in the advice part of this reading to say that you need to accept that this is an ending. Okay. That whatever has happened here, there is a finality to this situation. And you need to be able to find closure and accept this ending for what it is, as being an ending, being a finality to the situation, even if it wasn't ideally what you wanted it to be, okay? Let's take a look at what's hidden here, something maybe you're not seeing that can bring more clarity to you. I have the Four of Pentacles here. Okay, so this is a very guarded and protected energy. This tells me that this likely may have happened to you, okay? The sudden ending may not have been something that you ideally had wanted to happen, okay? Or it just was so, putting you in a place where you just had no other choice but to walk away and leave it, okay? So here it's telling me that, there is a little bit of a block right now because you're in a space of needing to kind of protect yourself. You're maybe a little bit afraid. Maybe you're scared of this new, maybe you're scared of the unknown, and you're just not really sure what to do. And so you're feeling very, vulnerable at this time. And so what that can do is cause us to just kind of close up and shell ourselves off from everything and everyone in the world. And therefore, we just don't process it at all. We just kind of stay shut out and guarded off and protect ourselves and just think that everything's okay. So what's hidden here is telling me that you need to open up, okay? You need to allow yourself to be a little bit vulnerable. Doesn't mean that you're vulnerable, necessarily with other people or jump in another relationship or whatever it may be. You don't even need to voice your opinions and your emotions to anybody else. You don't even need to let people see that you're processing these emotions. You can cry on your pillow, punch your pillow, do all those things at home in the safety of your own little space and, let it out on your own. You don't need to tell people how you're feeling at this time. You don't need to do anything like that. But what this is saying is that you need to get to that level of vulnerability where you're accepting this ending for what it is and you're able to find forgiveness and let go. Let go of the situation. Find forgiveness in the situation, even if it left you feeling a type of way about it, okay? Maybe you were done wrong and you still need to be able to accept this ending and move forward from it in a positive way so that you can, have, better things ahead for you. Let's take a look at what you don't see coming in the coming weeks. What don't they see coming in the coming weeks? I have the Page of Wands. This is a really good energy that you don't see coming in here. Again, this is a brand new energy here that is saying that, here in the coming weeks, if you start to do this healing journey and you start to open up to allow these things to come to the surface, to be released, and you fully accepted, the ending of this relationship, or at least you've just started to begin to accept it. Okay. Taking little steps at a time is still making progress. Okay. You don't need to make giant leaps of progress here. You're not on anyone's timeline. It's more important just for your overall health and well-being is what's being said here. Okay. Not necessarily that these things need to be done and reached, an X amount of time or else. Okay. So what this is telling me here is that if you start to take steps to process through this, emotional stuff that you felt, you're going to start to lighten up and get a new sense of adventure, a new sense of energy, a new sense of a new beginning for you, and things will begin to feel positive once again. Okay. So, the advice here is again, just be gentle with yourself, give yourself grace. The energies here, it may be easy for me to bring forward in a reading. Okay. And it may seem, that it's very just kind of cut and dry, but I also know that this is not a very cut and dry situation that you're going through. This is very, very challenging. This can be a very, emotional time for you. And my condolences and my heart go out to you in this situation. Okay. But have faith in knowing that you've got this. Okay. Sometimes hard things and hard decisions get put on us, but they're only put on us when we have the strength and the courage to keep going forward and to grow from them and become stronger for better things to come in. Okay. So have faith in knowing that you are strong, you are courageous, and you are capable of moving beyond this. Okay. So I hope you found this reading to be helpful. And until I see you again, take care.